everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm your host. This is Audrey Connor Gibson, and we are working on those academic foundation skills for Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. So in order for us to do some advanced math, we definitely got to hit on those basic foundational skills. So what we're going to do, I'm going to share my screen for you guys today, as sometime today. So what we're doing is we're working on the order of operations. So we're looking at that Common Core standards of our ASSE1, APR1, and AREI1. All of it has to deal with algebra, but looking at different ways. So we're looking at adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing all of those operations. So if you remember, we have those lovely things, remember, called Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally? That's what we're doing. So our learning target and agenda for today is I can simplify algebraic expressions using the order of operations, should be plural. Our agenda, we're going to look at the exit ticket that we did last time. We're also going to look at some notes and do some practice examples, get a little extra practice, and then we're going to close out with today's exit ticket. So if you recall, we did I think it was square roots, if I recall. Hence, we got a whole bunch of square roots for my exit ticket. And when we break down our square roots, we always want to make sure we have that perfect prime combination. Happy, happy, joy, joy. All right. But we have the square root of 81. And if you guys said the square root of 81 is 9, and maybe some of my advanced people said plus or minus 9, because positive 9 times positive 9 gives me 81, and also negative 9 times negative 9 gives me 81. So if you said the answer was 9, or if you said the answer was plus or minus 9, you are correct. So now the next one, we've got the square root of 16/25. So that means I have to give my numerator and my denominator the exact same square root, right? Their own radicals. So the square root of 16, that gives me 4. The square root of 25, that gives me 5. So my answer will be 4/5. If you said plus or minus 4/5, all you advanced people out there, look at you. All right, we're going to do 4/5. Now, number 3, the square root of 27, not a perfect square, so we need that perfect prime combination. So my perfect would be 9. My prime will be 3. Square root of 9 gives me 3. And then we bring down the square root of 3. So if you got all those answers, you did fabulous. If you missed a couple, maybe you just have to watch the video one more time, which is perfectly fine. No shame in your game. And we're actually going to move on a little bit to what our order of operations. Okay, please excuse my dear Sally. Well, I don't know what dear Aunt Sally has been doing, but we need to excuse her, okay? So as we can see, the order of operations, you're going to have your parentheses. You also have what's called braces. And then you also have brackets. So anything that's involved in grouping, okay, you're going to look inside first. The E, it represents your exponents. Gotta excuse my handwriting. So your exponents. So if I'm saying x squared, if I'm saying y to the 5th, the numbers up here, those are my exponents. And we did do a video on this. So if you need to go back and find it, go ahead and do that. Now the next part, it all depends on the direction. Okay? We're either going to multiply or divide. So I'll write this down, multiply, or we divide. And it's all based on what comes from left to right. Okay? So after you do your grouping, after you do your exponents, you're going to take a look at what's left. And from left to right, you're going to see what operation comes first. If it's multiplication, you got to multiply that first. If it's division, you got to divide first, okay? So it all depends on what's happening left to right. So after you get rid of your multiply and your division, then you have your addition or your subtraction. So again, that's going to go from my left to right. So after you did multiplication division, you see what's left. Then from left to right, you're going to take a look to see what operation comes first. If it's addition, you add. If it's subtraction, you subtract. Okay? So a couple helpful hints, and I mentioned a couple of them. First thing, you want to evaluate what's within the grouping symbols. So again, you have your braces or your braces. You have your brackets, or you simply have parentheses. Anything that's going on in between those, you always want to work from the inside on out. The next step, you're going to eliminate all your exponents and all your square roots. Okay, so remember, exponents and your square roots, you want to eliminate afterwards. Then you want to multiply or divide in order from left to right, and then add and subtract from left to right. So let's take a look at a couple examples. So what I will do up top here, I will write my PE, then we have our MD, then we have our AS, okay? So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So first thing, the P, the parentheses. So we have a parentheses, so we need to do what's inside this parentheses first. So when I'm taking a look, we don't have any exponents, we don't have a multiplication, we have addition and we have subtraction. So what should you do first? So if we're going from left to right, I want to do the first operation. So that means I'm going to do 4 plus my 7, which gives me 11. And then I bring down my minus 2. So this is still inside of a parenthesis. All right. Now I got 11 minus 2, which gives me 9. And then what comes down is this 3. So now that we took care of everything inside the parentheses, that's done. We don't have any exponents. That's done. Now we're going to see, do I multiply or do I divide? So I have 3 with a parenthesis of 9. If there's not a plus or minus sign in between, you're multiplying. So now I got 3 times 9, which gives me 27. So it's almost like a lot of those riddles that happens, or a lot of those puzzles that you see on Facebook. They're like, which is the answer? Like 99% of the people get this wrong. They always have a lot of these examples on there. And it's so interesting to see how many people answer it one way or how many people answer it another way. And I love when people say, don't forget about PEMDAS. So let's look at number 2. So we don't have any parentheses. We don't have any exponents. So that PE part is done. So now we're going to multiply or divide from left to right. So moving on from left to right, I noticed that I got 12 times 3. All right, so that means I bring my 4, I bring down my plus sign, and 12 times 3, that's 36. Bring down my minus 8, divide by 4. So the multiplication is done. Now I'm looking at it again. Oh, well, we got division. We have a negative 8 divided by 4. So that gives me a negative 2. Everything else comes down. The 36 comes down, the plus, and the 4. Now, from left to right, I'm looking at either addition or subtraction. So if I notice, right here, I got addition. So 4 plus 36, that gives me 40, minus 2. And then what's left over is 40 minus 2, the subtraction, which gives me a grand total of 38. Okay, so there is an order, there is a purpose. So we have to follow these orders. So we look at number 3. We have a parenthesis, and we got to do what's inside the parenthesis. So 3 plus 5, that gives me my 8. Then I have my 3 squared. 3 squared is my exponent. So 3 squared, if you recall, is the same as saying 3 times 3, which gives me 9. And this minus 3 comes on down. So we took care of the parenthesis, we took care of the exponent. Now we need either multiplication or division. In this case, we got multiplication. So that gives me a 72. And then I bring down my minus 3. So now we're going to do 72 minus 3, which gives me a 69. All right. So for number 4, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Let's do what's inside the parenthesis. Again, that gives me an 8. Minus my exponent, 6 squared, which is the same as saying 6 times 6, which gives me 36. So now I got either multiplication or division. I have multiplication. So 6 times 8 gives me 48. And I bring down my minus 36. Now I got 48 minus 36, which gives me 12. All right, so that's basically what we're doing. So let's do more practice. Of course, my more practice are always more challenging. I know, you're gonna love it. You are. All right, so remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. All right, so sometimes it'll be easier for me to do it this way. If I do my P, my E, then I have MD, then I have AS. Okay, so if I write it out like that, most people generally understand it a little bit more, because then it's almost like a tier. All right, so when I'm simplifying, I'm going to go this way. Once we get into the videos of solving, you're going to see me take it almost this way. What? I know, but be patient. That video is coming on. All right, so parentheses. If I go deep into this problem, this is almost like the heart of the problem right here, that 3 minus 1. So if I take that 3 minus 1, that gives me 2, right? And I'm going to write everything out. And I know it's a lot, but it's going to be so worth it once you know that you're doing it step by step, okay? If you look at a problem, ooh, I forgot to put the other one over here. Okay, there was supposed to be a brace right there. Sorry. Error is human, okay? Error is human. But we made that connection. So working even further, deep into the heart of the problem. So now I'm looking inside of this bracket. So yes, we got 8 minus 2 times 2. So obviously I'm going to do the 2 times 2 first, which gives me 4. And everything else is coming on down. So it's almost like you want to treat brackets and braces like parentheses, because I think a lot of us have seen parentheses a lot in math, not so much the braces or the brackets, okay? So now, here we go. We're into the brackets. 8 minus 4 gives me 4. Then I bring everything down. So now I don't need that bracket anymore, but I still have to do the brace. And you're probably like, how is she drawing these braces? It's almost like, as I like to say, it gives me a half of a heart, a nose, and a baby's butt. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, that's just how I do things. So now we're taking a look even further. We got 8 minus 4 divided by 2. But remember, from left to right, okay? When we do 8 minus 4, we can't do that yet because adding and subtracting hasn't come in first. It's supposed to be multiplying and dividing, right? So that means we really have that 4 divided by 2. So that gives me 8 minus 2. Still got my bracket, my brace. Got my 4 and plus 2. You're probably like, is this problem ever going to end? It is. I told you, it was a challenge problem. So now we got 8 minus 2, which gives me 6. And then with the 6, we're going to multiply it by the 4 that's outside. Because remember, multiplication comes before addition and subtraction. You're going to feel tempted, but do not heed to the temptation. So 4 times 6, 24. Now 24 plus 2, 26. Okay? That was a lot of work. Yes, because that was an advanced problem. But you notice, even with the advanced type of problems or the challenging problems, you still have to follow those rules. You still have to follow the operations, okay? So now for number 2, we have parentheses. So we got 4 squared. So it's going to be 3 squared times 4 squared. And what is 4 squared? 16. Okay? Over 3 times 5 minus 1, which gives me 4. So we had 2 parentheses that we had to work with. So now we still have another exponent, that's 3 squared. So 3 squared is 9. And we got 9 and 16. All right. And then we have 3 to the 4th, which gives me 12. So we could do multiplication because multiplication comes before division, okay? Or we can simplify so it's not so big, okay? Sometimes we got these little tricks, but we know that 6 times 9 gives me 54. So I got my 4, carry my 5. And then 9 times 1 gives me 9. And then 9 plus 5, because that 5 we carried over, will give me my 14. And over 12. And now we're finishing up with the division. Okay, 14 divided by 12 gives me 12. Okay. If you wanted to, here's a little shortcut. All right. I noticed that I have 3 squared and I have 3. I can simplify this because what does 3 squared equal? 3 times 3. Couldn't I cancel one of those 3's out? Whoa, got crazy. Someone's telling me, no. You can cancel one of those 3's out, so then what was left is going to be 3 times 16 over 4. And then here, you got your 8, you got your 48 divided by 4, which also gives you 12. What? One of those whoa moments. I know. There's more than one way of getting the same answer. All right. So if I want to simplify, and I'm just going to do number 3. Okay. Number 4, you're probably like, no more. Let's try number 3. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So P-E, I know, I was supposed to do it the other way, but let's finish up. So we don't have any parentheses, boom. No exponents, boom. Multiply or divide from left to right. So I look, boom, this is the first thing that comes in. So 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. And I bring everything down. So division we had, but now we got from left to right, we got multiplication there. So you got 24 minus 15. So this whole thing is, boom, destroyed. Now we don't have any addition, but we definitely have subtraction. So if we get to it, you got your 9. All right. So if I may, we did simplify those algebraic expressions using the order of operations. We did look at the exit ticket. We did some notes and some practice stuff. We did some extra practice stuff that really challenged us. And I can understand if this is your first exposure to it, you probably felt a little overwhelmed. But think of the first examples that we did. Okay, so don't be like, oh, I will never get this. You will. Okay, so now we're going to do our exit ticket. So if we notice, we got a little bit of something that we did before with a little bit of something that we need to do. All right. So as I mentioned, you do the exit ticket. The answers to the exit ticket will be shown on the next video. If you want to comment your answers to me on this channel, go right ahead and I'll take a look at it. But please, 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 if this is really helpful to you and you feel like it's beneficial to you and you think that more people will benefit from this, go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when another video will be launched, and share it. You know, this is what we're doing. So, and from my home to yours, hopefully everyone's doing all right. This was a great lesson. And again, if you need to look at it again, go right ahead. So see you next time. Enjoy.